the historic season did end in the national championship, but I think they have a lot to be proud of. Obviously, Aztecs, you look at the score line in that national title game, they will go down as losing by 17. But despite that score line, look, this was the only team all tournament that the game was somewhat in doubt with, 8 minutes to go, 6 minutes to go. The Aztecs got it to within 5, and credit UConn. I was thinking in my head, they went to break. I think Hurley had to call a timeout and they went to the commercial. And I was thinking, UConn hasn't been tested like this in 3 weeks, almost a month, because no one tested them in the tournament. How are they going to respond? Well, I got my answer. It wasn't the one I wanted as an Aztec fan, but they really did come out and fight back after that. But I do believe it's kind of ironic UConn taking down the Aztecs. I think this UConn team is the exact template of what the Aztecs want in terms of that hard-nosed defense, and they combine that size, strength, and speed to kind of go along with it. The Aztecs have the size and strength. Maybe the speed was missing a little bit, but I do have to also shout out Lamont Butler, that iconic buzzer beater against Florida Atlantic. This was a team in the Aztecs that were down 14 with 12 minutes to go in that national this national semifinal, I should say. And they were able to kind of, pick themselves up and end up winning that game. They ended up grinding the Owls into submission, as I like to say. But Lamont Butler, that shot will be on every highlight reel, every pump-up video for the Aztecs going forward. Fantastic job there. But Raider Jim, what are your thoughts on the Aztecs' historic run to the national championship?
I heard some people say before the game, and I've heard some people say even after the game, well, the Aztecs really just got there by luck of the draw, this, that, or the other. Not at all. If it's that easy, it's just like beating any team that's number one, beating the Zags, beating North Carolina. If it's that easy, then why didn't it happen? So if they didn't belong there, why didn't somebody beat them? Aztecs put together a great 6-game season, as I say. They played a fantastic tournament, showed a lot of tenacity, showed how great their defense really was, and their offense when needed to be good too. And overall, they also had, if you listen to the players, listen to them talk, listen to the coach, but again, focusing on just those athletes, those student athletes, that is a class act team with a lot of character. And that's what I really appreciate about that program. And that's why they're deserving of the success and all the accolades they're going to get around the city for the next few weeks. And they have a lot to look forward to. You will not see people transfer out of this program, I don't believe. You might see people transfer in, but not out. And that's going to be key in San Diego.
Yeah, I think it's the Matt Bradley effect, right? I think Matt Bradley can be the one. I saw an interview with him. I think it was after the game. And he just kind of said, look, after COVID, like I was done. I was just going to, pack it in, go get a regular job. Coach Dutcher got me here. And he even said, he goes, this is the real first time in my life I've had real leadership. And I think that's something that really does get lost in it. Everyone can talk about how the Aztecs have a higher average age than I think it was 4 or 5 NBA teams, and they can say stuff like that. But at the end of the day, that's what gets those players in and gets the most out of those players. I think Matt Bradley, was fantastic at Washington State, but I think he really kind of came into his own more than just a scorer at San Diego State. And I really do think going forward, that's what this program will do for any transfers that do come in. But I think that's a great point. I think we're going to see a lot more in than out, if you will, in terms of the transfer portal. But Coach, what are your thoughts on a historic season from the San Diego State Aztecs?
Just to finish up the thought on the transfer portal, I want to know which USD player or coach is gone out of this year's USD program, because we had two. A former head coach, Sam Soul, was on Coach Dutcher's bench, and the aforementioned Joey Calcaterra was a wing player for USD. So if State could pull off one of those again for this year coming up, I like our chances getting back to the Natty. So all joking aside, State made a great run. They're always going to have those criticisms, like Coach Raider Jim alluded to, that they had the easiest path. Hey, you know what? State, that's out of their control. They controlled what they could control, and that was everything on the floor. So, I think the character of the team stood out. I think the defense of the team stood out. I think the coaching of this team, as it's matured under Brian Dutcher the last during his tenure, the coaching has stood out because you have a lot of these kids come into programs where the coaches are more salesmen and could draw up X's and O's, and they could get NIL money, and they could get nationally televised games, and yet the aspect that they're truly missing is what Dutch and his staff provides. And I think Matt Bradley alluded to it the entire time through that interview of not only just love and compassion, but guiding these men, these boys that come into the program and leaving as men, guiding their character and their life versus, in addition to what they do on the basketball court, is the difference between our staff and a lot of the staffs across the nation. You could see the body of work put into play, and Coach Dutch and his staff talk about, him and Fisher's philosophy, building the program and where they wanted to be, and just the character or the life skill building that it takes. And, that may have been a whole lot more prevalent 25 years ago. Not so much now, where there's so many other reasons why kids gravitate to a program versus gravitate to a particular coach or systemic philosophy of the program. And I think that's what stands out with San Diego State. There's a systemic philosophical approach for the program, not just me as an individual head coach, not what I could provide for you as an individual player, but what you could benefit in the whole the program. And Matt Bradley is a perfect example of that. You'll probably hear the same thing from Ariane Trammell and Lady, because there were the other couple of transfers next year, coming in this year, playing this year, contributing this year and next year. You're going to hear the same thing because, it's so easy for these kids to leave nowadays, and our kids are not. The ones that buy in, the ones that really put forth the effort, they stay. And, knocking on wood, we don't lose any of our young kids that there's going to be high expectations on to produce next year, since we're losing so many players after the season. I'm really excited for them if they stay. I'm really excited for what Dutch and the program and his staff has done for the program, getting to the national title without any gifts. That's just grit, hard work, and trust. And unfortunately, it didn't turn out the way we all wanted in San Diego. But with this game, there's always a winner and there's always a loser. And, on paper, but I don't think there's a loser at all in this aspect, regardless of the win-loss record or the score sheet. So it was a great run. It's unfortunate that it happened to happen that way for us, but I think it's bigger than the scoreboard at this point for a lot of those kids on the team, and it's probably eye-opening for a lot of parents and kids across the nation in regards to, that they have a whole lot more to offer than just what an NIL deal means or an apparel deal means or a media deal means. There's not a lot of molders of men across America in regards to coaching staffs, but we have a great one here in San Diego.
Yeah, I agree. It was a fantastic run, and while they didn't take on the quote unquote blue bloods on the way, they did take down the #1 overall seed. They did take down the team with the most wins in Division I this year. And at the end of the day, as we said, they fell just a little bit short. I look at 17 points, but I think it's a little bit closer. Probably should have been about 10, but it did get a little away from SDSU late. But very proud of these guys in the city of San Diego. Hopefully they show out. I just heard that this Saturday here at Snapdragon Stadium, which is kind of on the grounds of the old Qualcomm Jack Murphy, they're going to be doing a nice little presentation, a nice ceremony for those kids because they really did capture all of our imaginations. I thought one of the best things I ever saw, Coach, we talked about this before, but that Saturday, the semifinal Saturday, may go down as one of the greatest days in San Diego sports. And believe me, I know there are plenty of people rolling their eyes. I know there's not a ton to choose from. This isn't the most successful sports city in the world, but seeing the video of the Padre fans reacting to Lamont Butler's shot, even the players, I thought it was also really cool. They were playing the Rockies. So Buddy Black at SDSU Aztecs, he could have seen it as well. Loved his reaction. Always love for Bud Black. But at the end of the day, I think this team really kind of caught the imagination and a great step forward for this program. That once again, 20 years ago, this team was winning 5 games a year, and now they played for a national championship. Hats off to Steve Fisher, hats off to Brian Dutcher, and of course, hats off to every single person who is involved with this team this season. Hell of a run. Can't wait to see what next year has in store. But I think we're all in very, very good hands with this program under Brian Dutcher. So, and now next segment. Now, I will say last week, rightly so, Raider Jim kind of put me on blast. I'm the one that puts the rundown together. And once again, rightly so. I didn't, take a chance to shout out and congrats to the women's Final Four team. But look, as my dad would say, first time you make a mistake, second time you make a choice. I'm not making that same choice, if you will, this time. So we obviously saw this past Sunday